McCaskey High School had a banner weekend this weekend. I want to take this opportunity to thank and recognize the music department for their fine performance in Toronto. I also want to recognize our boys track team for having won the Golden State Invitational. I also want to recognize the students who participated in the Safe Drivers competition. We won that too. I also want to relate a story to you, and that is, in our trip to Toronto, the Master of Ceremonies happened to be a teacher from the Bellefonte School District, and while our group was performing, he mentioned the fact that he had been
Well, anyway, the Master of Ceremonies mentioned during the middle of the program how he had visited McCaskey about 2 weeks ago, and he was here to visit and observe our students in our language lab. And he said that they had had the opportunity, a visiting team had the opportunity of visiting 12 schools in the state of Pennsylvania, and they found our students to be the friendliest, most polite, and most helpful. Alumni Award ceremony. Yesterday, our nation's focus was centered around the topic of volunteerism, as President Clinton, former Presidents Carter, Ford, and Bush, and the retired General Colin Powell called for our nation's youth to share their energy and talents to help others. Today's ceremony recognizes individuals who know about volunteerism. They know what it looks like. So I ask you to sit back, listen and learn, because they will provide you concrete examples of what the presidents were talking about yesterday. At this point, it is my pleasure to turn the program over to a recipient of this award, a 1996 recipient of this award, Mr. Buddy Bove.
Not working. Okay. Good morning to everyone. I would like to add my congratulations to McCaskey for the accomplishments that they had this weekend too. And that's just an example of the ongoing pride that is demonstrated each and every day in the school district of Lancaster. On behalf of the superintendent, the administration, and staff, I want to thank all of our recipients for coming here today to share their time with all of us. We're definitely very happy to have you here. This is my third ceremony, I guess it is the third for the program. 1 year as a spectator. Last year I sat here as a recipient, feeling very proud, and today I'm very happy to be able to offer the greetings. I know this ceremony is held at McCaskey High School because they're graduates of McCaskey, but many of the recipients have also been a part of the school district of Lancaster, so all of us in the district, the 19 other schools that we have in the district, benefit from having the awareness that there are so many people who have done positive things after they've left McCaskey, and so we all share in that pride of these role models. I know some of the recipients from afar. I worked with one of them, and the other was here as a student when I was administrator here, so this is a special morning for me. Greetings to all of you, and I'm looking forward to the ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Good morning, students of J.P. McCaskey High School. It is always a pleasure for me to come home to McCaskey. For I am a McCaskey graduate, and I am proud of that. honored for their accomplishments since they left the halls of JP, and they have gone on to distinguish themselves in their chosen careers. But I am sure that every one of them will tell you that their careers began at McCaskey. It was the foundation for what was to come for the rest of their lives in their chosen fields. And I'm sure that they will tell you that teachers cannot make you learn, but they can help you learn. They are there to answer your questions when you ask why. They will provide you with an answer, or as one teacher once told me in McCaskey, if I don't know, I will find the answer, and we will both learn something that day. I am grateful for a teacher, many teachers I had at McCaskey, but one in particular, an English teacher by the name of Clifford D. Parkman, who never stopped telling me, you can do it. You can do it. And he was right. It takes hard work, and you have to believe in yourself, and you have to pursue your dreams. They won't come easy to accomplish. Sometimes you will find disappointment. Many times you will find disappointment. But if you pursue, if you continue, and if you honestly believe in yourself, you can do it. Just as we can. Before we begin handing out our distinguished alumni awards, I want to recognize some people who are with us today. You know, of course, Mr. Lopez. Seated next to Mr. Lopez is Dottie Hammond, president of the McCaskey Alumni Association. Dottie. And our friend Buddy Glover. Dr. Carl Pike, president of the Board of Directors, Lancaster City School Board. Hans Vanderschaft, president of the J.P. McCaskey Student Council. Esteban Rodriguez, is he with us, the president of the senior class? Also seated in the audience with you are some of our previous distinguished alumni recipients. Ethel Hilliard, class of 1929. And for the class of 1945, distinguished alumni recipient, Barbara Valvance. And of course, we welcome the class of 67, distinguished alumni recipient, Buddy Glover. I would also like to recognize Susan Garafola of the Alumni Office, our alumni consultant, because Susan is the one who makes this program responsible. She's the one that gets the distinguished alumni committee members together and gives us the information, and we go over all of the candidates, and there are so many outstanding candidates, and we have to narrow it down to 5, and she helps us, and without her help, we could not do it. Susan. Also, thank you, Carlos. Yes, I almost forgot Nelson. We can't forget Nelson. Another one of our distinguished alumni recipients, Mr. Nelson Polite, class of 1941. Nelson is certainly outstanding in our community. I must tell you that Nelson is also one of the judges for the Jefferson Awards, and he is the one who goes through and helps us select the outstanding community service volunteers. So thank you for that, Nelson. Time now to get down to the business at hand, and this year's recipients of the J.P. McCaskey Distinguished Alumni Award are John W.W. Luce, class of 43, John Buckwalter, class of 48, Dr. Donald Wise, class of 49, Dr. Dontina Jones-Jackson, class of 69, and Dr. D. Michael Bove, Jr., class of 1979. The first gentleman that we will be calling up here is John W.W. Luce, Jack Luce. And if you want to know anything about the city of Lancaster or the county of Lancaster, this man is the man that you want to look up. He has authored several books on the city and the county, and I constantly turn to those books for reference. Even though I was born in the city of Lancaster, I have to turn to Jack's works because he has the answers. He knows. Jack is an authority on the Red Rose City and the county. Jack's a 1943 graduate of McCaskey, and he has his bachelor and master's degrees from Millersville University and graduate credits from Penn State. From 1957 until his retirement in 1991, Jack was a teacher and department chair at Donegal High School. And although he's best known locally as Lancaster County's premier historian, and I underline that, Jack's activities have been far-reaching and varied. He is a member of numerous historical societies, and his interests range from the Society for Industrial Archaeology to the National Railway Historical Society to the Pipe Organ Historical Society, the Pirates Club, and the Slumbering Groundhog Lodge of Oregon. He has been cited for distinguished service by the Freedoms Foundation at Valley Forge, Millersville University, the Daughters of the American Revolution, Daughters of American Colonists, Future Farmers of America, Sertoma International. He has twice been the recipient of the Lancaster New Era's Red Rose. And we could go on and tell you about Jack Luce, but again, it is with pleasure for me to introduce to you one of our Distinguished Award alumni recipients, premier historian, and graduate of McCaskey High School, John W.W. Luce.
Thank you very much. Yes, I have written a lot of books and monographs, and to that I have to attribute the talents, the skill, the persistence of my McCaskey High School teachers. I think particularly of those in the English department who led me on to inspiring me to write and write and write some more. To the late C.L. Martin, who was head of the department, my senior teacher, to John Rodman, who was my junior teacher, later as principal, and to Bill Stockton. Most of you never heard of Bill Stockton, but he was my sophomore teacher. Wonderful people. All of my McCaskey High School teachers, in one way or another, encouraged me, pushed me on, when pushing was necessary, for education. They instilled in me the joy of learning. They awakened my intellectual curiosity. I think of it at McCaskey that I learned, and all good historians have to learn this, that you must ask the question, why, for everything that has happened in history. And I used to do that to my students. They'd say, if something happened at a certain time, yes, why? And I would urge all of you to ask that question for anything that happens. Why? Why did it happen? To show that the English department at McCaskey, and I only say this because that's the one that awakens me most to the joys of McCaskey. When I got to college, we had to take different examinations and tests and boards and so forth. And if you scored a 98 percentile or higher in English, you did not have to take remedial English. And of the entire freshman class, I'm proud to say that it was McCaskey's graduate that won that didn't have to take remedial English. I spent my time in the library reading. The teachers in, for biology, for example, and John Older in chemistry and physics, these people were true scholars. I'd love to be a person like that and teach. So I eventually ended up being a high school teacher. For 36 years, I taught seniors. I also was a senior dean. I was in charge of all the senior activities. And I learned while I was teaching something that I know that my teachers at McCaskey, incidentally, only one of them is still living, Paul Scalper. I learned that teachers can be emotionally upset too about things that happened. When I was here, a fellow sitting next to me in playing geometry, killed when his ship went down in World War II. He was still in school. He stopped and enlisted. And every day we would hear more and more about people that we knew who had given their life. But when I was teaching, it was during the Vietnamese War, and 3 of my students perished in that conflict. And I know how teachers feel when their students perish. So I would urge all of you to think, to ask why, write, read, and listen to your teachers. You know what the worst possible crime you could commit in the early 1940s when I was a student here? If you forgot to turn your homework paper in, if you didn't turn your homework paper in, you were in big trouble. I understand problems are a little different today. Thank you very much. It's been a joy being here.
Thank you, Jack. And some of Jack's activities, by the way, while he was at McCaskey, drafting club, travel club, his interests were history, what else? Sociology, chemistry. When Jack was at McCaskey, his ambition was to be a psychologist. Class of 1944 had in it John Buckwalter. He was in the Honor Society of McCaskey, on the cadet, played soccer. He had an interest in journalism. And his ambition was to be a businessman. Well, John Buckwalter fulfilled that ambition. He is president and chief executive officer of Lancaster Newspapers Incorporated. He holds a bachelor's degree in economics from Franklin and Marshall College, master's in business administration from Harvard University. He's active in both community and business organizations. He has served as director of the Lancaster chapter of the American Heart Association, the director and treasurer of the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce and Industry, trustee of the Rockford Foundation, and director of the United Way. He is currently on the board of directors and executive committees of the Lancaster Alliance and of the Economic Development Committee. He serves on the board of directors of Lancaster Newspapers, Lancaster County Weeklies, Lancaster Farming, Intelligencer Printing Company, Delmarva Broadcasting, and I could go on and on and on, but then we would run into the next class period. Unfortunately, because of Jack's schedule, he cannot be with us here this morning. But he did send some notes for me to read to you. And Jack says, "It is with great delight that I accept the Distinguished Alumni Award, and what a privilege it is to join the honorees of 1997 and the past 2 years. To be placed with this group of distinguished ladies and gentlemen pleases me very much. My brother and sister and our 3 daughters are all graduates of J.B. McCaskey High School, so our family feels very close to this wonderful institution. After After 1 year at McCaskey, I began work at Lancaster newspapers in the summer of 1946 in the press room. I have been at Lancaster newspapers ever since. My education at McCaskey was a tremendous help, both academically and socially, as I was beginning my career and at the same time preparing for college. And because of my training at McCaskey, the transition to Franklin and Marshall College was, quite frankly, easy. My advice to all of you, he says, is to set goals and organize your work and your life with a system that helps you meet your objectives to live successfully one day at a time. As you enter the workplace, continue these habits and assume the attitude of the next higher position. Give value to the company that employs you, and you will be rewarded in proportion to your value. Sincere thanks to the J.B. McCaskey Alumni Association. This honor is greatly appreciated. And to all of you students, I wish for you every success in the years ahead. Jack Buckwalter, our congratulations to Jack as one of our recipients. And as I said, Jack, thank you. When Donald Wise was at McCaskey, he was in the National Honor Society, the High Y, played soccer, and had as his hobby science and fishing. He graduated in 1949. Dr. Donald Wise recently returned to the Lancaster area from his position as Professor Emeritus in Geology and Geography at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. A 1953 graduate of Franklin Marshall College, he returned to his alma mater in 1993 as research associate, where from 1957 to 1969 he has been a professor of geology and where he continues to teach. Dr. Wise earned his MS degree from California Institute of Technology, his doctorate from Princeton. From 1968 to 69, he was deputy director of the Lunar Exploration Office at NASA headquarters. He is the author of numerous geological publications. His subjects include Appalachian structures, Rocky Mountain foreland structures. His studies have included several states: Pennsylvania, New England, Kentucky, Wyoming, Montana, internationally, Italy, and also the Moon and Mars. Dr. Wise serves as a volunteer for the McCaskey Science Department, sharing his wealth of expertise and experience to enrich the program. It is a distinct pleasure to welcome Dr. Donald Wise.
As a geologist, I'm used to dealing with fossils and things like that. And I recall that it is exactly 50 years ago I was sitting where you sophomores are, wondering what all those old fossils were doing up on the stage. And I tried to think what I would like to hear from such fossils, and also what is worth telling about my years at McCaskey. As I think back, the outstanding legacy was the teaching and the pursuit of excellence that I got. I'd like to tell you about two teachers. One, a fellow by the name of Fred Rentz, the German teacher, or Herr von Rentz. Herr von Rentz was 6 feet tall and a towering figure who believed that we should really learn something. Every day we came in with something to learn. We were sent out with a statement, now that we go home tomorrow night, we don't know that. And every day we would walk into that class and we'd have to write it out. And if we knew it, fine. If not, we stayed with Herr Rentz in his Buba class until 5 o'clock, until 6 o'clock, until we knew it. But Rentz pushed us for excellence. Even to this day, if I walk through past his room, I've got a cold sweat on my back. Remembering walking into that class and trying to figure out if I really did know it, whether I could go home at 3:30 or 6 o'clock that night. The other teacher was a bit more enigmatic. He was was a fellow with the name of Ray Groove who taught plane geometry. And at the time, I thought Ray Groove was the worst teacher I'd ever seen anywhere. Ray Groove would taught solid geometry, three-dimensional mathematical analysis. He would come in, he would ask us, well, are there any questions from yesterday's assignment? Which we proceeded to ask a few, and he would answer them. He said, well, here's tomorrow's assignment. He would go in the back of the room and read the racing form. We'd slave away. If we had any questions, we'd go back and ask him about it. But his exams pushed us to the ultimate. I thought he was terrible. When I got to F&M, I realized that his students had taught themselves, courtesy of his pushing, that we were far, far ahead of any of the rest of the students around. Fred Renson's students, when we got to McCaskey, could not take second-year German. They had to take either third or fourth-year German. And as I look at this, these were two completely different ways of teaching. And yet, what they taught us was you can teach yourself, push yourself to excellence. I have used, half a century later, Fred Renson's German working in the Rhine Valley of Germany. I have used Ray Groove's geometry on every continent. My specialty is three-dimensional geometry and the way plate tectonics works. I've used in every continent except Antarctica and the Moon and Mars. And so that this heritage from McCaskey, with its demand for excellence, no matter how it's taught, I think is a lasting legacy. I'm still teaching. I still use and prefer something between the two methods. But nevertheless, this striving for excellence and teachers pushing you towards it is one of the real things that McCaskey has to offer. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Walter. Dontina Jones Jackson, while at McCaskey, was a member of the Glee Club. She was a cheerleader, played basketball, Leaders Club, was a member of the track team. Graduated in 1969. Dontina Jones Jackson is principal at Wincott Elementary School in Cheltenham Township. She earned her BS from Cheney University and her master's from Millersville University and her doctorate from Temple University. Dr. Jackson taught at George Washington Elementary School, where I got my elementary education, by the way, and then moved next door to Abraham. She taught at George Washington from 1973 to 1983. She was assistant principal of Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School from 1983 to 1986. While she was with the school district of Lancaster, she coached girls track at McCaskey, served on the Affirmative Action Committee, and helped formulate the pilot the teacher observation supervision evaluation plan. Her services and achievements have been recognized by the Lancaster NAACP, the Black Women's Educational Alliance of Montgomery County, the Lancaster Boys Club Alumni. She's also a recipient of the Salute to Women Award from Ben Franklin High School in Philadelphia, the Missouri Meritorious Award from Lancaster's Mount Portia Lodge 14, and 1995 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Award for Excellence in Education from the Salem Baptist Church. Dr. Dontina Jones Jackson, one of our distinguished alumni.
Good morning. It's always good to be in the company of our future, and that is you. The youth of today are certainly the future for tomorrow. It is indeed a pleasure to be here for this occasion, and I am deeply honored to be one of the recipients of the 1997 Alumni Award as a graduate of J.P. McCaskey High School. McCaskey's teaching staff certainly played a significant role in providing the foundation that enabled me to continue to pursue my educational and career goals. And I was laboring over whether or not I should try to start naming names. First of all, I couldn't remember all my teachers' names, and not that they weren't important. I just remember what they do. But they did. But secondly, I didn't want to leave anyone out. So I am proud of all of my teachers because they were very inspiring and they motivated me and helped me to achieve the goals that I have achieved today. I have fond memories of McCaskey. The years at McCaskey were full of activities. I had a lot of fun, and fortunately at McCaskey I didn't get into too many problems. Can't say that at the other schools like Edward Hand, sometimes had some problems. But I dealt with it, I handled it, and I got out of it graciously. And I remember my years at Edward Hand, I heard some of you clap. I assume you went to junior high. That was also my junior high, and then on to McCaskey. But at McCaskey, I can remember teachers who took the time to provide any assistance that I needed, as well as provided guidance and encouragement to help to motivate me to strive to achieve to the best of my ability. As a student at McCaskey, I was actively involved in many areas. And sometimes it was somewhat depressing because I seemed to be the only African American to be a part of some of the activities. But that was not going to deter me from doing what I knew I could do. Determined that I could be successful in any endeavor that I pursued. And I received that from my family, and I'm fortunate to have my mother here with me today. And one of my older brothers, who's also a member of the McCaskey staff. They have always been very, very supportive, and I appreciate their role in my growing up. I firmly believe, and still do, that I can accomplish any goal with my strong determination, sincerity, and willingness to do whatever I need to be successful. There were teachers here who also encouraged and helped to affirm my beliefs, and for that, I am grateful. I am also appreciative of the fine educational programs and opportunities that were provided for us at McCaskey. In my opinion, my educational experience at McCaskey was second to none. I'm not just here as a recipient of this award, but I'm here to encourage each of you to climb till your dreams come true. Believe in yourself right from the start. Believe in the knowledge and the abilities that each and every one of you have, that you can be successful and achieve your intended goals. Everyone here won't go on to college, but whatever you do, be the best that you can be. Be proud of who you are and what you are capable of accomplishing. And as you are climbing life's ladders, keep these words of Helen Steiner Rice in mind. This is an inspiring poem that I refer to often in my life. Often your tasks will be many and more than you think you can do. Often the road will be rugged and the hills insurmountable too. But always remember, the hills ahead are never as steep as they seem. And with faith in your heart, start upward and climb till you reach your dream. For nothing in life that is worthy is ever too hard to achieve. If you have the courage to try it, and you have the faith to believe. For faith is a force that is greater than knowledge or power or skill. And many defeats turn to triumph if you trust in God's wisdom and will. For faith is a mover of mountains. There's nothing that he cannot do. So start out today with faith in your heart and climb till your dream comes true. Thank you very much for being here. And believe in yourself as I believe in you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dontina. I'm going to just sidetrack the program for just a moment. You can do that with your MC, you know. Susan's saying, what is he going to do? But I do want to recognize former McCaskey principal and always a friend of McCaskey, Charles Bove. Charles. He is also a member of the Distinguished Alumni Committee and helps us decide on recipients. I also want to, at this time, say that any time an institution like McCaskey loses educators, that's a sad time. But also, I want to wish these two gentlemen the very best in their future in the retirement years ahead. Mr. Gordy Kraft and Bernie Santinelli. I drive by all the time and I look over there at that red brick building, I have fond memories. Not so much of the school, but of the students and the teachers. A school is only as good as its educators. McCaskey is better than good because of its teachers. I'm going to miss seeing you two gentlemen at the track meets, but I will see you next Monday, right, at Enfield? Monday night. Bernie, do you care if I tell them the story? Okay. What's he care? He's leaving anyway. Bernie was my student teacher my senior year. Right, Bernie? And how about that? And I'm sorry. And I'm happy to see that Hawksworth did not disillusion you and discourage you from teaching. You did go on. And we will. When B. Michael Bove was at McCaskey, he was on the staff of the deaf, Burning Glass, participated in speech and debate, Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, IU13 Student Forum, Quill and Scroll, National Honor Society, WJPM, Math Club National Merit Scholarship finalist, and the first recipient of the Hall of Honor Award at graduation. B. Michael Bove, McCaskey class of 79, earned his bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. In 1989, Dr. Bove was appointed to the faculty of MIT, where he is currently Associate Professor of Media Technology, working in the MIT Media Laboratory. He's the current holder of the Alex W. Dreyfus Jr. Career Development Partnership. He is author or co-author of more than 25 journal or conference papers on digital television systems, video processing hardware, software design, scene modeling, and optics. His popular press contributions include the entry on television in the World Book Encyclopedia. He has been interviewed in a number of magazines, including Omni, Discover, and TV Guide. And in 1995, Boston Magazine named him one of the 40 people shaping Boston's high-tech future. If you will please welcome Dr. E. Michael Bove.
in about 20 years, you can be standing up here. I'll be in the front row watching you do that. Thank you to the Alumni Association, and thank you to Susan for managing all the details. I was trying to think what exactly I could tell you that would be relevant to as many of you as possible, because on the one hand, I know you're thinking, well, I'm not going to be college professors, but at the same time, I know of at least 3 college professors from my graduating class, and none of the 3 of us thought we were going to be college professors when we were seniors either. So who knows? You might like it in college so much you don't leave, and they eventually give you a job, give you tenure, make you a professor emeritus or something. But I think we've heard a lot about how McCaskey education, how the teachers, how the fellow students prepared us to go on, all of the people sitting here on the stage today, and how that excellence that we were exposed to while we were students pushed us to drive ourselves for excellence. But I was thinking, what I spent most of my time doing is not exactly what I did in class. Rather, what I spend most of my time doing is what I'm doing right now, and that's communicating. Where did I learn to communicate? Well, I learned that on the speech and debate team. And I learned that we had a radio station, WJPM, and sometimes the turntable didn't work. We had to talk a lot. And sometimes the homeroom teachers would phone and tell us to shut it off. I was on the staff of the Vedette, and I really learned to write on the staff of the Vedette, because there's a big difference between going home and writing a composition for composition class, and knowing that the press is about to start running, and somebody just phones and tells you what the crack team did 15 minutes ago, and you have to get that into print as quickly as possible. That's what you really learn to do. You learn to organize your thoughts in such a way that there's no going back. And that's a very, very useful skill. And likewise, I learned to communicate through things like the science fair and the Junior Academy of Science, which were as much about communicating good ideas as they were about having good ideas. What I'm going to say to all of you is that the most important thing I think you can all learn while you're here, and those of you who are seniors, I'm sure you'll all be happy with it, is to communicate your ideas and to have the self-confidence to know that your ideas are valuable and that they're important. In closing, I'd like to acknowledge my parents who have come here and who told me these things about 25 years ago, but I didn't believe them. Basically, your grades would get your college application read, but it was your essay and your other activities that would get you in. And those of you who are seniors already know that. Those of you who are sophomores and juniors should take that to heart. And so in closing, I'm just going to say, visit my website to find out more.
Thank you. If you would again, give a round of applause to this year's
As I think about the lives of these 5 outstanding graduates, I'm reminded of the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Quote, "The things taught in schools and colleges are not an education, but a means to an education." End quote. All of these people have used the skills they learned in school to become better educated, become active in the community, and to contribute to the success of today's young people. Students at McCaskey today have benefited from their dedication to their school and to their community. If you've ever wondered what the phrase lifelong learners means, look no further. These individuals are lifelong done for McCaskey, for Lancaster, and for the broader community. Finally, I wish to express my appreciation to the officers and board of the Alumni Association, to the awards committee, Mrs. Garapola, and to all of those who helped make today's program and ceremony possible. This concludes our ceremony, and enjoy the day. Thank you.
Countless visitors to our school. I hope that we will make our recipients feel at home as they visit your classrooms. Thank you, and your vote is wonderful.